I think we should probably go to gameplay because
Let's do
people
it.
are waiting. Let's talk about
I think
Spawn.
the first thing when I saw him is he's huge. Like you can see here, he's basically as big as Kodal.
Right.
He's imposing, and I think that shines in his gameplay, where I don't think he's like a super fast character. He's like just a heavy hitter, I would say, like a brawler who's just
Right.
imposing in gameplay. So let's start with his throws.
Tyler's favorite.
I've always said it. My favorite are the throws.
And his forward throw is really rad because he uses a bunch of weapons. Including that battle axe if your soul still burns. And this has a crushing blow, and its requirement is actually really interesting. It's if his back is to the corner, it will trigger. And the reaction is actually a stagger, and he gets a combo. So it's a crushing blow throw, which is always good to have, but it's not the typical if you've escaped one, which is pretty neat.
I would say Spawn has definitely some, as we go on further with the game, some really nice innovations with crushing blows.
Yes.
And a couple of his crushing blows.
There's a
Like
couple.
that one, for instance, like you said, isn't just the throw. You messed up a throw break. It's a back to the corner. When Spawn's back is against the wall.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the metagame there would be you have to guess on your throw escape. So if you think he's going to throw you forward to get the combo, you're going to eat a bunch of back throws, which then throw your back to the corner, where he can then start doing his mix-ups.
And generally in the fighting game meta, you're going to want to turn them around and put them in the corner.
Right.
Spawn has the choice not to and get some real good stuff out of it.
Exactly. So he's doing the positional weaker throw, but he's going to get a combo.
Right.
So there's nothing weak about that.
And probably put you mid-screen
Yep.
from doing it. So,
A cool little interesting fact here
Ooh, factoids.
is that little demon that rises up is actually a clone of your opponent.
Which I saw someone on Reddit point that out, and props to them.
Yep,
Yes. It's also, this is a sweep, and it's got to be one of the best sweeps. It's really good range, 2 hits. It's absolutely awesome to use in his mid-range.
So this is the base variation. Though.
Yes.
This is not a tournament variation of Spawn.
We are going to show all 3 tournament ones, but I wanted to start with his base, and I equipped 1 extra ability just to show it off because I think it's neat.
It's a very innovative move.
Yeah, but right now it's base. He also has an awesome uppercut and just awesome range. He uses his cape basically as an extra limb and the chains. So let's go over his normal attacks.
Cool.
Start with his jabs. He has a 1-1-2. It's safe on block. It's a jab string. But what's cool about it is he can also hold it, and if he does that, if they counter hit, it's a crushing blow.
Boom.
And on block, it's actually Bigly plus. They stagger, and he's +5 or 7 or something like that. But it has a gap. So the idea is, if you think he's going to hold it, you're going to interrupt it. But if he thinks you're going to interrupt it, he can play it safe with just the jabs.
So it's reminiscent of Shang Tsung's mix-up in a way.
Yes, although it's off his jabs.
But this one, and you hold.
Yes, and it's a big punish for the crushing blow, and it sets a lot of his stuff up. So then he also has back 1-2, and this is his main combo starter. It's a really good long-range mid, pretty quick, unsafe on block, but that's how he gets his combos. It also serves as a great anti-air. It's one of those mid-range moves where you don't have to guess they're going to jump, but if they happen to jump and he's doing it, you're going to clip them, and then you get the pop-up.
Gotcha.
But unsafe on blocks. You're not just going to do it willy-nilly. It's not like why would I not do it?
Some people will.
Yes, like maniacs will, but
Right.
It's the only move I would ever use.
I would assume that.
that makes sense. The second hit's also an overhead, which leads to a couple of mix-ups when he has a low-hitting special move. It's also forward 2, and this has a couple of variations. There's this chain variation, and this is unsafe on block, but has hella range. Hellish range, because it's small.
There we go, hellish.
Yeah. And then there's forward 2, which uses his cape, is a low,
Yep.
and that by itself is safe. But it doesn't have as much range as the chain one. Still a lot of range. Like, you know you have good footsies when this is the lower range one. And he can hit confirm music too. He can hit confirm into a combo starter, into a safe special if he has one equipped. There's a lot he can do with it. Then lastly, this 2-4 string, where it ends with him flying up in the air.
This really shows the cape off.
Yeah, it's basically takes up the whole screen. This has a crushing blow if only the knee at the end hits. What's neat is, after this, he goes into this glide automatically.
So can you cancel in some attacks from that glide?
Yes, he can.
Woo! Yes.
So he can either use it to move around or get a combo. And
That's hella fancy.
yeah, and it just looks cool.
Right.
So let's go into his base special moves. And they are pretty versatile. He has a projectile. It takes up a lot of real estate, has a long trail. It's fairly quick, and it is a high, so they can duck it. However, the amplified is a mid and comes out super fast.
Takes up quite a bit of real estate.
Yes, this will hit them if they're jumping. It'll hit them if they're trying to walk in between the fireball. So he can really use it to keep them out. He can zone with it. If he thinks they're going to try to advance, he amplifies. You're using a bar, but great control.
Keeping the
real
distance,
estate.
absolutely.
Yes. Now, to combat zoning, he has this cape move.
And what does it do besides look awesome?
Well, besides look awesome, it will actually absorb a projectile. And then he gets
Crushing blow
a
pop
really
up?
juicy crushing blow pop-up. So once per game, you can actually use it to get the crushing blow. He can absorb it all the time anyway.
Sure.
And this is something that he can cancel out of.
It
So
takes meter to
sometimes-
cancel out?
Yes.
Okay.
But it is great for faking out because it has such slow startup. So
Right.
like in the mid-range, hover around here, and a lot of times you cancel and then you can go in for a throw, or just walk back and wait till it recharges. And because his space control's so good,
Right.
letting the stamina bar recharge is not really like a huge crippling weakness.
Because you can constantly do pokes with the chains. As soon as somebody starts
Right.
advancing, you're like,
shoot
stay back!
fireball. So like, if you have full offensive gauge and you want to, you can then do a double fireball to then rebuild the defensive gauge to have that back.
It's awesome.
Cool.
So this also, he has War Club.
This move,
It's very interesting.
Very
So this is like your standard combo ender. Nothing really neat about it, except the amplified has this low attack, and it'll actually come out even on block.
Awesome.
And then the neat thing is, this has a new mechanic of breaking breakaway.
Explain?
If the opponent tries to break away, he'll actually hit them out of it. And amplify pops up for a combo.
so he has some really interesting ways in game to get combos.
Yes, so he tries to break away, doesn't want to eat that ender, and then he's actually going to eat a full combo after that. So that is pretty risky for Spawn, but massively risky for the opponent.
Yeah, the mind game becomes very interesting. Are they going to break away when they do? If they don't, now he's right beside you. Like, what are you
Yes.
doing?
And these are all part of his base kit?
Yes, the
Okay.
War Club is in everything so far is base kit, which
Great.
means also, because of the way the gauge works, if you break away, get hit by the War Club, get re-pumped up by the amplified, you don't have any more gauge to break away. So you're just eating
Spent
that
it.
combo.
You spent it.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
pretty awesome. So if you don't like dealing with breakaways, Spawn will be a great character for you.
I've never used a breakaway, so I'll be fine.
You've tried.
I've tried.
So lastly, this is my favorite move.
Okay.
Aesthetically, I think it's awesome. He has this phantom wave, and the idea here is that he's actually causing the opponent to have an illusion that their skin has burnt off and they're surrounded by flies.
So the damage is mental anguish.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So this has two
It's in
uses.
your head? Man.
One is, I should probably turn off breakaway. Let's assume I've scared him into not breaking away.
Right.
Right.
It has a restand if you do it regularly. He gets a little decent amount of advantage. He can do a jab or a throw mix-up. He could go into his 1-1-2 or his throws. Or if you amplify it, it is his big, juicy, highest damaging ender. And it leaves them actually still pretty close. So,
Right, especially with the chains. I mean, you can start poking
Exactly.
right from there. Perfect.
So this is like the bread and butter combo ender. You can either choose keep the pressure going or cash out for definitely big damage if you amplify it. And you look awesome doing it.
Cool.
I think that's
Agree.
really
I
important.
agree. Yeah, no.
Right.
Style points are very important.
So that's space loadout. And now I added one more move that's not in a tournament variation because I just think it's cool. It's called Invoking the Legion, and it's a buff that he puts on. And he gets Fatal Blow early. You can see it, just see his life bar?
Yep.
Now, it will do less damage than it would do, but he has access to it. It has the armor, and his into is interesting. He throws a grenade at you. So let's check this out. The guns, I love it every time.
And you can direct as well.
Exactly.
with
Yeah.
Fatal Blow.
He actually has, if you hold up, he'll throw it up in the air as an anti-air.
Yep.
Now, if you want to wait till you only have 30% and you do the buff, it actually stacks it, and now he throws 3, and it does increased damage.
What? But, I mean, the whole reward thing, if you do it first thing in the match, you don't get it at 30%. You
Right.
Can, again, it doesn't change the rules of what a Fatal Blow
Yes,
is.
it still has
Yep.
the cooldown. So yeah, you have to decide, do you want to use the buff early? You could do it like... You
As
could
a
literally
round
do it-
ender in the first
yeah.
round.
It could be the first thing you do and you haven't even been hit, if you want.
I love that idea.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that idea too.
Or you save it. So that's Space Loadout.
That's
Cool.
awesome.
So let's go into Tournament Variation 1.
You've really outdone yourself this time on the costume choices. I think you did really well.
His gear is really rad. And what's cool is Todd McFarlane really gave us this ability to like kind of use classic stuff. Like Commando Spawn was actually an action figure, but also kind of our own take. Like the third one is like our version of Spawn.
Yep.
And he really allowed us to go ham on like colors and stuff, which is cool. Like, you can have a yellow Spawn if you want. It's very, very rad.
And you dress this one up as a commando because
He is gun-based. So the first move I gave him... Oh, by the way, I want to clarify. When I say I gave him, I'm not the designer. I mean, just for the loadout.
well, also, but this is the tournament mode, so this is like right.
Yeah, so that's,
So you didn't do any like this is what you'll get from tournament
I
level
set up
1.
this loadout. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
not me being like... And then I am doing this move.
Yeah.
So anyway, an anti-air gun.
Ooh.
And it can be amplified.
And guns are blazing.
And then he absolutely goes ballistic.
Hey,
Which I think is just... I did not even mean that. I think that, to me, if you just said, what is peak Spawn?
It's a walking
It's
shooting.
this.
Gun. Absolutely.
I love the idea that he has these hell powers, but because they're somewhat limited, he's like, I'm going to use my guns.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can see this will juggle them if they...
As I say, so that's an amplify of the upward gun.
Yes.
Cool.
Then he has a low gun, and that you can use. It's kind of slow, so they could fuzzy it, but you can mix up overhead and low gun. You can also hold it. You can cancel the hold, and then what's really cool is it's a low parry with a crushing blow.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
the first time you parry it,
Yep.
out parry a low,
Yes, a low.
it is a crushing blow.
And the same amplify from the anti-air gun is also applied to this.
So he's just blazing guns
Yeah,
nonstop.
he's non-stop blazing. He's just...
I love the chances the designers took with this character with some of the crushing blow requirements and those sort of things. Some really innovative things with Spawn, and it's really cool that that's happening with Spawn, such a iconic character that we've always wanted to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's also neat how our designers went, and our effects team and artist went crazy with, like, he has the plasma bolts, guns, fire, chains.
He's got it all.
Our effects guys really had a lot of work for this character.
Absolutely. Very prop heavy. He's
Yes.
good.
And then,
And cloth.
Cloth.
that's another, the experience that our effects team and animators got with Injustice, with all
Right.
those capes. Like,
Well, also the Brainiac's Tentadrills and all that.
yeah.
Like, that all just helps us build to what we have now.
It's funny you listen, you read Twitter a lot, and a lot of people will be talking about like, people who maybe have never made games talk about how they think games are made, and sometimes they're wrong, sometimes they're right.
Right.
But even people who've probably never made a game, they're all like, I bet that cloth is tough.
oh,
Like,
yeah.
you don't even have to know how to make games to know that that's a real difficult thing, and especially because it is involved so deeply in his combat style.
Oh,
So,
I mean,
Shout outs to Laura and Judy.
shout
oh,
outs.
yeah, like, from a QA perspective, cloth is... I'm not claiming we catch them all, but we catch a lot. For every clipping cloth thing you find, there are 300 in Jira.
Right.
So lastly, he gets a dive kick, or I guess it'd be a dive cape.
Dive cape.
It's a pretty standard dive kick. He does not have an amplify. He does not get a combo. It is usually unsafe on block depending on when he does it. But it's just good to have a little extra dose of air mobility when he controls the ground so well because of the gun move.
You know, also, right now, current meta, a lot of times when people get knocked down, they jump.
Right.
And now using, like, you know, dive kick out of jump can maybe get you out of some hairy situations.
Yes.
It covers a huge area.
That's the big thing.
Like, it covers a huge area.
While the reward is not the best, the space control is pretty impressive.
Right. It's not a foot. It's a cape. It's a dive cape.
So let's go to variation 2, which is the one I use.
Okay.
This one is your standard kind of combo-heavy one, where there's not a lot of gimmicks here. I love the cape.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
The cowl is very cool. Yeah.
He gains the shoulder charge, and if you amplify it, he gets a big combo starter. And that's kind of the showcase of this variation. Like, he can hit confirm it off everything.
Unsafe?
Absolutely unsafe. It is pretty much the prototypical combo starter. You're like, look, I just want to do strike throw mix-ups. I want to get big damage. Give me the variation. I don't care about setups. You have that. But if you are a creative player, his second move in it is this glide. And he can do a close version, a far version, and he can actually do it twice. As he's about to land, he can mess it up.
I want to give you some props. When we did this earlier, you did it like 5 times in a row without an issue.
Well, now I'm freaking out.
The pressure's on. The pressure's on.
Now I'm freaking out. This is bad. All right, one more chance.
Are you truly washed?
Oh, there it
Okay,
is.
there we go.
There it is.
You were
This isn't even hard. It's that I messed it up the first time, freaked out. This is why.
Got inside your own head.
How do you do it? Can I try it?
It's just down back 2. This is
Twice?
really bad. Yeah.
Oh, YouTube.
You don't want to go over. There you go.
Oh, I see what you're doing. I got this.
She's not doing anything. You're doing it all.
Yep, there we go.
So the rest is
Now I gotta try it. Now
No.
just let me try it once. Down back 2. Oh, okay, I'm done.
Yep.
It's way harder.
This is why we watch Final Combat and
Yes.
do not participate in Final Combat.
That is true.
All right, so variation 3 is, I think, maybe the most interesting.
All right. Oh, this is, yeah. I like this one. You told me that 2 was mine, but I like this one.
First off,
Yeah.
that cape, those shoulder things, that's great. Okay, so this is a chain-based one. So the first thing he gains is actually a stance.
Chain reaction, that makes sense.
So if you just let it go, he does this anti-air. But if you hold down, he does a low.
That's so cool.
So low takes up a ton of space. And if the opponent's controlling the ground, jumping is kind of what you want to do to beat it.
It's awesome.
This
So you're
has a
kind of
question
reacting
block.
on what the opponent's
Opponent's
doing while
gonna
you're
do
doing. Yep.
If you hold the stance out, it will get the crushing blow if he does the low. This can also be used, again, as a low instead of the overhead.
Cool.
Then he gains a ground chain. It's a low-hitting move. It takes up almost the full screen.
Did you say a lot?
I was gonna say, yeah, it looks like the full screen.
You say a lot of real estate?
A lot of real estate. And amplified is extra damage, and the big thing is it's safe on blocks.
And so it tracks too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't have to do close, medium, or far. It
Right.
just happens.
We saw this from the trailer against the chain Scorpion versus Spawn
Yes.
chain battle.
So I think this being safe on block is a really big deal. You can do all these really great strings, and then it also gives you a mix-up option that's safe, because this is unsafe. And then lastly, one of the coolest moves is this chain grab, and this is a command grab. And what's cool is it'll hit in any point. It'll hit close, pretty far away.
So this is a down back forward input.
It's a back forward.
Oh, just back forward?
Yes.
Oh, that's why I wasn't getting it to come out. I thought I was doing down back forward.
And he also still has his necroblasts as well.
Yes.
What?
And so the weakness is if they're crouch blocking, it will not hit them. They have to be stand blocking. So you are going to have to get them to stand block, but then if you can do that, this is pretty good. And if you amplify it and hold it, he turns invisible.
Here you go.
And this has a really cool crushing blow itself, where if he's invisible and you do the move again, he gets the crushing blow. So a really fun thing to do is turn invisible. And now the opponent doesn't know where you are. So you could sweep. You could repeat it. Or it'd be a great opportunity to get that one.
Because they don't know you're missing the first thing.
Exactly.
Right.
So can you get poked out of the invisibility, or
Yes.
you're just invisible?
If he gets hit out, he actually takes 20% more damage.
Wow.
And while he's invisible, he does 20% less.
Less.
So,
Good to know.
yeah, he is kind of taking a risk to go into it, but I think it's very, very powerful. I think it's one of the better invisibilities we've done.
And something to reiterate, it is not like, you know, if we look back to a game like Injustice 2 with Swamp Thing, there's not a near, medium, far.
Correct.
This is any distance you can
Yes.
grab the thing. Yeah. And it just, I mean, I love this one because the mind games become really fun then. Like, do you go invisible and then they think you're doing it again, so you run up and throw? You know what I mean? There's a lot of different things you can do in that situation, which is really neat. So.
It does take a defensive